Okay, maybe I think we'll start. So in the last session, we were discussing about the intercompany journals. Before I proceed with that, like whether you guys get a chance to complete the practice exercises.
I have started it, Arun, but I couldn't complete it. Like I was stuck with something else. So this week I'll try to complete this both.
Okay, what about you?
It's the same thing over here. Like I did not get the qualifier list, and I mean when we when we create a value set, that there will be two things like allow posting and allow budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not getting that screen highlighted. I then again referred back to video, and I got now like I was
Okay.
doing some wrong setup, and then probably I need to continue it from there.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like you are starting from the configuration, right?
Yeah, from the configuration, yeah.
Okay. 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 I mean, it's your benefit. Like if you are able to complete the practice exercise, I think you can better appreciate the future classes also. And maybe we'll just get into the quick, as I mentioned in my WhatsApp chat, like we'll get into quick quiz. I just ask you, I mean, just it's not like to test your intelligence to, it's only to check like how much you are able to recall whatever we have, what do you call, talked in the previous sessions. Okay. So the first thing is, so here when you are creating a journal entry, there is a ledger and in the drop down, I think I'm in the wrong responsibility. Hang on. Is NRI. Yeah. Okay. So for the ledger in the drop down, we can see the ledger name as Reliance INR ledger. So what is driving this? Like from where exactly this ledger is getting defaulted? Did you remember?
Profile option, data set profile option.
Exactly. So the name of the profile option is GL data access set that is mentioned in our BR100. We can just go through that. So the GL data access set profile option, whatever is assigned to this particular responsibility is Reliance INR ledger. So that's how the Reliance INR ledger is getting defaulted here. Okay. And the next question would be, let me bring up the journals whatever we have created in the last session. Yeah, let me pick up this intercompany journal. Okay, so when you create an intercompany journal, that is a journal which is not balanced by the balancing segment, system creates two more intercompany balancing lines. So from where exactly these intercompany accounts are getting derived, especially these natural accounts? From where exactly it's derived? Sorry?
Accounting options, accounting setups.
Yeah, exactly. So in the ledger definition under the accounting setups, there is something called intercompany rules. I can just again quickly go through there. And whatever the intercompany payable account, intercompany receivable account, whatever we have mentioned there is getting defaulted here. And all other segments are getting defaulted from the original lines except the balancing segment and the intercompany segment. So intercompany segment will be the other side, and the balancing segment will be the same balancing segment which is used in the original journal line. Okay. So with this said, we'll now get into last week. Whatever we have seen is the intercompany journals. Now I'll talk about the intra-company journals. So we need to understand the difference between intercompany and intra-company. So you can just go to the accounting setup manager, which is the ledger definition screen. So this is where we have mentioned the intercompany accounts, and now we are talking about the intercompany balancing rules and intra-company balancing accounts. So what is the difference between the intercompany accounts and intra-company accounts? So here you can see the description. Intercompany accounting will come into picture when there is a transaction across legal entities. So that means if there is a transaction between the balancing segment 01 and 02, that is a transaction between two legal entities then it is called a intercompany journal, and then intercompany accounts, whatever we have mentioned here, will come into picture. And intra-company is the rules which come into picture when there is a journal between the balancing segments within the same legal entity or within the same ledger. So how does it work? Okay, let me just go back to our Reliance group structure. So if there is a journal entry between 01 and 02, then it is called an intercompany. Or it could be a journal entry between say 04 and 03, then also it is called a intercompany journal. And from subledgers, from AGI's module, like we can even pass a journal entry between 01 and 04. That is across the ledgers also it is possible, and then also it is called a intercompany journal. And if there is a journal entry between the balancing segments of a legal entity, so when I say between the balancing segments of a legal entity, so in our current example, all the legal entities has got only one company code, but there could be some weird business scenarios wherein you can assign even more than one company code to a legal entity. And if there is more than one company code which is assigned to the legal entity, so take an example in this case, apart from 01, if take an example, there is say 010, that's another company code which is assigned. And if you pass a journal entry between 01 and 010, then it is called intra-company. Or it could be a journal entry between say 010 and say maybe 011, then also it is called an intra-company. So there are two scenarios wherein we call a intra-company. The scenario is between the balancing segments of a legal entity, then it is called an intra-company, and also between the balancing segments which are directly assigned to the ledger. If you remember in the last discussion or in the last session, we have mentioned that there can be some balancing segment values which can be assigned at the ledger level itself. So if you go here, last week what we have done is we have assigned the balancing segment value of 03. Ideally 03 belongs to another ledger. Okay, so we have assigned that 03 to this ledger, which is INR ledger. If you assign one more balancing segment, say example say 04, okay, then if you enter an intercompany journal between 03 and 04, then also it is called a intra-company. Now we can go back to the definition. It says define intra-company balancing rules to balance entries between balancing segment values within the same legal entity or between the balancing segment value within the ledger. So is that clear? The definition, first of all, you should be very much clear on the definition. Is that clear? Or is there any confusion? I'm expecting answer yes or no.
Yes,
Okay.
Arvind.
Yeah. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll try to assign one more company code here. So 03 is the company code which we have assigned. So add one more balancing segment value. So 01, 02 are already available in INR ledger under legal entity level. So 03 we have assigned earlier. Now I'll try to assign even say 04 also. And click on complete. So it says like once you click on complete, a request got triggered. As I said, like in Oracle, whenever there is a request which gets triggered after the configuration, you need to ensure that request is complete completed normal before we proceed with that. Yes, the request is completed normal. The request ending with 0906, it's completed normal. So now we can go ahead and enter the intra-company journals. Okay, but if you now enter the intra-company journal, there is something what we have done is we have just assigned the balancing segment value. Okay, now we can go ahead and create the intra-company journals. But before we proceed with intra-company journals, as we have seen in the case of intercompany, that we need to specify some intercompany accounts payable and accounts receivable account. Similarly, for the intra-company balancing also, we need to go here and click on update, and we need to specify the rules. If you do not specify the rules, then you create the journal and try to post, then it will throw an error message. Okay, what we'll do is now, without creating the rules, we'll try to create a journal. Okay, and let's see what will happen. journals, enter new journal. So I can say test intra-company journal. So what should we select here?
01.
Not 01,
03.
03 and 04. So 03, some department, and maybe we just pick up any account, maybe just a salary account. Say 2,500 or 25,000 rupees. And then we can do Shift F5, which will copy the value from the above row and then change it to 04. 25,000. Save this. Okay. Now click on post and let's see what will happen. Your concurrent request got triggered, and now view request.
A quick question, Arvind. Why can't it would be 01 and 03?
01 and 03. Okay. There is actually a limitation in current version of Oracle, or like they have given, I mean, even we face the same issue in our current client, they have given a kind of a weird reason for that. But currently, in the current version of Oracle, it will allow you to enter intercompany journals between, say, between balancing segment, that is between the balancing segments of the legal entity, that is 01 and 02, or between the balancing segments of 01 and 03 is also possible. Okay, but it should be from the subledger. But if you're talking only from the, say, INR general ledger, now in this scenario 01 is assigned at the legal entity level and 03 is assigned at the ledger level. What Oracle says is, like, if you try to enter a journal between the company code assigned at the legal entity level and company code assigned at the ledger level, it will not allow you. It will throw an error message, and that's an open issue with Oracle, for which they have raised some kind of enhancement. So now currently it is not possible to enter intercompany journal between the balancing segment assigned at the legal entity level and at the ledger level. Okay, so the possible scenarios are, I'm talking about scenarios which are possible. Scenarios which are possible. Scenarios which are not handled by Oracle. So there are 4 scenarios. First scenario is between company codes of legal entities which fall under same ledger. Okay, so that means example would be, what will be the example? Tell me. Between company codes of legal entities which fall under same ledger. So based on this, can you tell me what is the example?
01 and 02.
Exactly. So 01 and 02 is one example. Okay, second scenario would be between company codes of legal entities which fall under different ledger. So it could be, say, example 01 and say 05. It is between the legal entities of different ledgers. Okay, for the time being we will not pick up 04 and 03, because ideally we should not be assigning 04 and 03 at the ledger level, but we are assigning it for some other testing purpose. Okay, so for the second scenario, the example would be, say, between 01 and 05. 01 is the legal entity of INR ledger, and 01 is the company code which is assigned under the legal entity of INR ledger, and 05 is the company code which is assigned under the legal entity of the Canadian ledger. Okay, so that is one scenario. Example between 01 and 05. And third scenario would be between company codes assigned under a ledger. So it would be example, maybe, I mean, we have not assigned, maybe we should have assigned something like 010 and 011 under INR ledger. So it could be something like between 010 and 011 company codes assigned at ledger level. Okay.
So which is ideally 03 and 04 in the current setup, right?
Okay, in the current setup, yes. In the current setup, it will be 0 and 3 and 04, but ideally 0. So under INR ledger, yes, 03 and 04 will be the intra-company journal. But if you go to USD ledger, between 03 and 04, it is a intercompany journal. Do you get it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh, the list you are making in that Excel is intercompany or intra-company?
I'm talking about both intercompany as well as intracompany. Okay, I can mention here. So this is intercompany under INR ledger. This is also intercompany.
Yes. This is intra.
Intracompany.
Yeah.
And scenarios which are not handled are one example would be between company code of a legal entity and company code of a ledger. So in this example, it would be between 01 and 03 under INR ledger. Okay, so this you cannot call it as an intercompany or intracompany because Oracle itself is not allowing this scenario. Okay, of course there is a workaround for this. So in our current what do you call client, we got exactly same kind of scenario. So the workaround would be instead of assigning that 03 at the ledger level, what we have done is 03 also we have created a kind of a dummy legal entity under INR ledger. So if I create a one more dummy legal entity of 03 here, so I can enter a journal entry between 01 and 03 because it becomes a intercompany journal within the INR ledger.
Yeah.
Arjun,
So
can you,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, Pradeep. Go ahead, Pradeep.
I mean, can you just go to the setup screen once?
Yeah.
So if you go to the balancing assignment, balance segment assignment. So here, I mean, these legal entity assignments, right? So ideally speaking, all these four are under the INR ledger only.
Exactly. Yes, you are true. So remember, like whatever the legal entities. Okay, I'll explain you the significance. I understood to your question. So if you go to the balancing segment value assignment, yes, you are right. Ideally, 01, 02, 03, and 04 all are under what you call INR ledger. But the significance would be if you start using the subledgers. Okay, as you know, like when you create your subledger, you need to have a when you create say when you go for an AP, the AP the data will be stored at an operating unit level and it will be linked to an legal entity. So that means you will be having, so taking this as an example, so Reliance Postpaid is one operating unit. Reliance Postpaid is linked to the Reliance Communication legal entity. Reliance Communication legal entity is under Reliance INR ledger. So when you try to do a data entry under Reliance Postpaid operating unit in AP and AR, system will allow you to use only 01. It will not allow you to use 02 even though it is under the same ledger. Okay, so that's the significance. So your GL is at a kind of your GL is at a ledger level wherein you should be able to see 01, 02, 03, 04. But when you get into the sub ledgers, you should be, or your system will allow you to use only 01 for the Reliance postpaid operating unit. If you go for Reliance prepaid operating unit also, in this example, system will allow you to use only 01. But if you go to say Reliance cotton extraction operating unit, then system will allow you to use 02. Reliance Clothes Manufacturing, again a system will allow you to use 02. Is that clear?
Okay. Yeah, that is understood. Now, see, because ideally speaking, in this example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are assigned under INR ledger only,
Yes.
right? So they are 4 legal entities.
Or like 4 company code. You use the word company
Right.
code. Yeah. 4 company
Right.
codes.
Okay. So they are 4 company codes, right? So I mean, when we are saying a transaction between 01 and 02 is an intercompany. Okay. Why are we saying that under 3 and 4 are intra-company?
Okay. The reason being within the GL, and again I'm talking from an INR ledger itself. Under INR ledger, 03 and 04 are, if you look at here, are assigned at the ledger level. They are not assigned at the legal entity level. Did you get what I'm trying to say? So there are two kinds of assignments. One is directly assigning at the legal entity level, which will automatically take care of assigning it under the ledger. I mean, when I say assigning it under the ledger, it will automatically fall under the ledger. Okay. But if you assign any kind of a segments, balancing segments or company codes at the ledger level, so assigning balancing segment values to the ledger. So when you click on update and assign the company codes at this level, they are available to be used only under general ledger module, only at a ledger level. So you cannot use, as far as this example is concerned, you cannot use 03 and 04 under any of these operating units, especially from a subledger perspective.
Okay, so fine. So I mean, 01 and 02 will have subledgers, whereas 3 and 4 will not have. Okay, that is understood. But again, my question, I mean, whether I'm not clear or no, but same question again. So why are we saying, because see, ideally speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4 are under INR ledger only.
Yeah.
Right. So, and also 1, 2, 3, 4 are legal entities.
From an
company codes.
Yeah, from an INR ledger perspective, 01 and 02 are the only legal entities. 03 and 04 are not legal entities if you talk from an INR ledger perspective. Because 03 and 04 are the legal entities under different ledger. We have assigned those 03.
Okay. See, if it is not 03 and 04,
it could be say 010 and 011 example. Yeah.
Right. So even if we say 010 and 020, okay, those are also under INR ledger only.
Yep.
Right. So why can't we call the transaction? See, because from an INR ledger perspective, okay, it is having 4 legal entities.
4 company codes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Four company codes. Right. So when we say 4 company codes, why can't a transaction between 3 or 10 and 20 be an intercompany?
Okay. So for some reason, okay, what Oracle has done is, I mean, this kind of differentiation is not there in 11i. Okay. But in R12, they brought this kind of differentiation wherein you have got 2 options. One is assigning of the companies at the legal entity level, and if you assign a companies at the legal entity level, they are called intercompany journals. That's what Oracle says. And you got, second thing is, you got an option to assign some company codes directly at the ledger level. So when you assign the company codes directly at the ledger level, then they fall under a category of intra-company journals. And the reason why Oracle has given that particular functionality is when you get into the rules, the intercompany, if you remember, like in the intercompany accounts, okay, we have mentioned what do you call the intercompany payables and intercompany receivables account, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So why the Oracle has differentiated the intra-companies, what it says is, if you want to go for the intra-company, under the intra-company balancing rules, click on update, and even here also we need to mention something called the, okay, once I'll get into this, what do you call details. So here also you need to specify the intercompany payables and intercompany receivables account. So that means from a user perspective or from a business perspective, you can use different intercompany payables and intercompany receivables account if it's an intercompany general or if it's an intracompany general. So even in our current client, from our business process perspective, we are using the same intercompany payables, intercompany receivables account under intercompany and intracompany. So even more or less whatever you have asked, even our business users ask the same question. So from our current client perspective, there is no difference. So if there is no difference, what I'll do is under intercompanies and intercompany balancing rules, I'll create the same rules, I'll use the same accounts. But there are certain clients wherein they want to use different intercompany payables or intercompany receivables account if it's an intracompany scenario and if it's an intercompany scenario. Is that clear, Pradeep?
Okay, one more thing. So when we are assigning the company codes to a ledger, okay. So I mean, ideally all these are assigned to the same ledger, right?
Yes.
So why are we saying that 01 and 02 are assigned at legal entity level, and 10 and 11 are assigned at ledger level?
Okay. Here
I mean, how are we differentiating?
Okay, here you can see once a legal entity is defined, if you remember, we clicked on update balancing segment value and assign the company code. Okay, that's the reason why here you can see at a legal entity Reliance Communication, you can see the company code is 01. Okay, similarly for the Reliance Textiles, once the legal entity is created, we came to this particular screen, clicked on add legal entity, assign the legal entity, and then we clicked on update balancing segment value and assign the company code. Okay, so here you can see 01 is associated with the legal entity of Reliance Communication, 02 is associated with the legal entity of Reliance Textile. And then what we did is we went to this balancing segment value assignments, clicked on update. So when you click on update, by default you will be able to see the above values whatever we have assigned earlier. That is because these two are still falling under a ledger. And then we clicked on add balancing segment value, and then we assigned 03, or in our example we can say 010 or 011. So here in this screen you should be able to differentiate whatever you can see at this level are the legal entity assignments, whatever you can see here are the ledger assignments. It clearly says these are all ledger assignments, these are all legal entity assignments. But again, if somebody asks you a question like what are the company codes now, based on this example, what are the company codes which are allowed under INR ledger, then you can say 01, 02, 03 and 04.
Okay.
So to answer your question, what is the screen which will tell you what are legal entity assignments and what are ledger assignments? This is the screen. This is the legal entity assignments and these are the ledger assignments.
Okay. So I mean, just to summarize, so ideally from this screen, what we'll understand is 1 and 2 will have subledger accounting, and 3 and 4 will not have any subledgers below it.
Exactly, as far as the INR ledger is concerned.
Right. As far as INR ledger is concerned, so for 3 and 4, you can pass a journal only in the journal. I mean, only in the GL responsibility. Whereas for 1 and 2, transactions can flow from subledgers into GL.
Exactly, a transaction can flow from subledger into GL, or you can enter the direct journals within GL.
Right.
For 01 and 0. Okay.
Okay. So for 3 and 4, will it be like it will always be manual journals?
Yes. In this scenario, yes. The reason being, if you look at our flow chart here, okay, 03 and 04, ideally 03 and 04 are the legal entities and the USD ledger. Okay, so ideally all subledger related entries for 03 and 04 should go into USD ledger. So if you talk from a USD ledger perspective, 03 and 04 can be used in the subledger, or it can be entered directly in the GL also. So if you remember in our last discussion, we have just used 03 and 04 under INR ledger to just pass some kind of a business related adjustment entries, some weird business related adjustment entries. But ideally, 90% of your transactions of 03 and 04 should be under USD ledger only.
Okay, got it. Yeah, got it. Thanks.
So now going back.
Arvind, one question. Can we add multiple balancing segment which are company codes at the legal entity level?
Yes, that is possible. If you remember the definition of
it is having an add.
Yeah, the definition of intracompany itself says that it's a rule which you need to define if there are multiple balancing segment within the same legal entity or multiple balancing segment within the ledger. So as far as the multiple balancing segment within the ledger, let me complete. Okay, as far as the multiple balancing segment within the ledger is concerned, yes, we got multiple balancing segment within the ledger. If you want to have multiple balancing segment within the legal entity, that is also possible. So what you can do is, in this example, you need to click on update balancing segment value. Okay, you have already added one balancing segment of 01. You can click on add balancing segment value and you can pick up any other segment values, whatever is available here. Okay, maybe you can create one more company code of say 030. Okay, you can come here and you can click on that 030 and then you should be able to select. So that will become a, and once you apply this
legal entity balance.
company, so once you assign this here, you will be able to see 01 comma 30. So that means that will become a, again that will become an intra-company journal if you want to pass any entry between 01 and 30.
Okay.
Okay, if you want, we can
So
even,
in that scenario, if I understand right, like the whole discussion starts when you created that journal with the 03 and 04 in the journal entry screen, right? So that 03 and 04 in our current setup, these two company codes are assigned at the ledger assignments level, not at the legal entity level, as per our INR ledger setup perspective.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So now you simulated the same question to your client currently also. That's what you mean to say, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
in your current client, the same situation arises. Then you people went and created another dummy legal entity, correct?
Exactly. Yes. So there was some business reason.
No.
So let me complete. So in our current case, what we have done is 03 and 04 we have assigned at the ledger level, and we are passing a manual journal entries in GL. Okay. If there is a requirement to use that 03 and 04 in subledgers also, okay, then what you need to do is you need to create a dummy legal entities under INR ledger. So that is what we have done, because our requirement is for some reason we want to use even 03 and 04 in subledgers of INR ledger.
Okay, got it. Okay. So in a nutshell, in both at the ledger level, at the legal entity level, we can assign multiple company codes during the setup, and it is allowable.
Exactly.
Okay.
So even at a legal entity level, if there are multiple balancing segments, you will be able to see everything here: 01 comma 030 comma 040, whatever it is.
Okay. So in that scenario, let's assume that in the Reliance communication, I have 01 and 010 is assigned as a multiple balancing segment. Okay. Then any journal you raised with 01 and 010 in the journal entry screen, we'll call it as a intra-company journal, right?
Exactly, intra-company journal. Yes.
Because as these two are associated to the same legal entity and also under the same ledger, so we can call it as intra-company.
Exactly. Correct? Yes.
Okay, then why do you say Oracle is not handled? I want to understand why you are saying Oracle is not handled.
What I am trying to say is, in this scenario, what Oracle is not able to handle is, now try to pass a journal between 01 and 03. Oracle is not handling this, and try to post a journal, it will throw an error message. 01 and 03 between a company code.
Here you are saying this 03 and 04 is not linked to any of the relation to the INR ledger, but configuration is done. So in this scenario, Oracle is not handled this case.
No,
That's
I
what
think
you
you're
meant to
getting
say.
it. See, 03 and 04 is fine. 01 and 02 are fine. Between the company code of a legal entity, that is between 01 and 03, that is what is not allowed.
Okay, got it.
Okay. If you go back to our
but ideally, that is that a valid transaction?
I mean, unfortunately, in our business scenario, like we found one such kind of business scenario. The reason being, in 11i, okay, what we have done is, to give you a background. In 11i, we do not have all this kind of intercompany, intra-company, all these complications, assigning up the company codes at the ledger level, and also it's pretty straightforward. You can use any company code in any ledger. Okay, that's what it is. So because of various reasons, they have used some, say we have got a USD ledger as well as Canada ledger. There are some company codes which are used in Canada ledger. They are even being used in even USD ledger for some kind of adjustment after we have upgraded to R12. So we have upgraded to R12 only 6 months back. Now business users realize that they want to pass some kind of an adjustment entry, that is they want to move some balances from a company code assigned under the what do you call at a USD ledger to the company code which is assigned at the Canada ledger, some kind of an adjustments. So we do not have any other alternative except assigning of that particular company code at the balancing at the ledger level. So when we try to pass an entry between say 01 and 03, it was not allowing. Then I raised an Oracle SR. Then Oracle says that this is not allowed by Oracle. So what Oracle feels is that kind of what do you call entry is not a kind of a valid business scenario. Then we asked them like what is the workaround. Then what they said is create that particular company code as a dummy legal entity under USD ledger. Then it becomes an intercompany, and then you can pass the entries, and that's what we have done. Okay. So basically, to map it to what we have done in our current client. So what I should have done is I should remove this at the ledger assignment. I can click on remove, and then I need to for 03 I need to create a dummy legal entity and assign that 03 as a dummy. Create a dummy legal entity and assign the 03 to the dummy legal entity. That is one option. Other option would be straight away take 03 and assign that 03 under Reliance Communication. So under Reliance Communication, I'll have two balancing segments 03 and 01 and 03. But if I do that, what will happen is I'll be able to use both 01 and 03 both under subledger as well as under GL.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it all depends on the various scenarios. To be frank, for us it took almost like 15 days to figure out what is the best option, because that was not identified during SAT and that was not identified during UAT. All of a sudden, once we went live, then user passed an entry and the user is saying that it's failing the posting program. Then we got digged into and we have looked into different scenarios. One option is like, as I said, like we have assigned the company code direct at ledger level, and then we were tried to pass an entry, and then we saw that our system is not allowing this, and then we have created a dummy legal entity, passed that, and then we found that that is fine. And another option, what we did is like we have taken this 03 and assigned under 01 and 03, then it is even allowing in subledger also, which we do not want. Then we have removed that setup, and then we have created it. At last we have gone with the scenario of creating a dummy legal entity.
Okay.
And Arvind, what is the general business scenario to have say a dummy legal dummy company code under ledger assignments?
As explained you that in our that's what I had explained from our current client. The business scenario is under USD ledger in 11i. Okay, under USD ledger and under Canada ledger, they were using the say under USD ledger we have got a company code of say 010, 050, 055, something like that, and under Canada it was 014 and 015, something like that. So in 11i, even though from a business process perspective they should always use only 010, 050 and 055, there were some scenarios they were even entering a journal between 010 and 014 in general ledger in 11i. That was allowed straightforward. You need not do any kind of a changes there. But once we have upgraded to R12, okay, we have did a proper configuration of that 010, 050, 055 are allowed only under USD ledger based on our existing setup, similar existing setup. 014 and 015 are allowed only under Canada ledger. And that's where users say that now I want to use 014 under 010. How should I use that? And how should I can use 014 under 010? I do not have such kind of restrictions in 11i. Okay, and the reason why the user want to use 014 under 010 is there are some minor adjustment which they want to use. They want to actually move some balance from 010 company code to 014 company code for some business reason. Okay, it could be some system issues or some other issues. They want to pass that adjustment entry. It is straightforward in 11i. So in 11i, even the passing of that entries between 010 and 014 were, I mean, like 1% of such entries were such kind of entries. Out of 100%, like just 1% of such kind of entries, and wherein they were not even taking any IT help. They were pretty straightforward. They are getting into the responsibility and they're doing that. But whereas in R12, as we have done these configurations, now system will not allow you to use 014 under 010 under USD ledger unless until we make these particular changes. And that's where they came to IT support and they said that yes, we want to pass some kind of an adjustment entry, and these are to move some old balances from 010 to 014 company code, and this is only just a kind of a one-time activity, and but for somehow we want to move that particular balance. So what we have done is in our current case, as I said, like we have created a dummy legal entity, assigned that 014 company code, allowed the user to pass the journal entry and post, and then we came here and immediately ended that, because this is only one time activity, but somehow they want to pass that entry. So that's the reason.
Okay.
We do not want to allow such kind of company code to be used under UST ledger in future. So that's the reason why once the entry is passed, we have removed the we have ended the company code under the dummy legal entity.
Okay, got
So
it.
that is intercompany already, right? That transaction is intercompany, not
Yes.
intra-company.
That's already intercompany. Okay, because first we tried with assigning that the company code at the ledger level. Okay, we thought like, okay, if it is a ledger level, somehow it should fall under either intercompany or intercompany. Then we digged into that, but system is not allowing because it is falling under a category of company code of legal entity and company code of ledger, which is not allowed. Between a company code of a legal entity and company code of ledger, which is not allowed, and hence the last option whatever we have gone is creating a dummy legal entity. So if you create a dummy legal entity, it will be a intercompany.
Yeah.
Okay. So in our current case, we have passed an entry between 03 and 04. 03 and 04, which is the between company codes of the ledger, between company codes under a ledger. Okay. Now if you observe here, I posted this and the posting program completed in one. The reason being, as I mentioned, we have not completed, we have just created this company codes under this ledger, but we did not complete the intra-company balancing rules. We have completed only intercompany, but we did not complete any intra-company balancing rules. And if you look in the output simply says intercompany processing error. Ideally, it should say intra-company, but it is not able to handle that journal. The reason being, we have not yet set up the rules. Set up the rule, come back to this particular journal and post. It will allow you to post. But as far as this scenario is concerned, which one? Okay. Yeah, as far as this scenario is concerned, that is between 01 and 03, there is no other setup. It will continue throwing an error message. Okay.
Okay.
So now for 03 and 04, which is an intra-company, we'll complete the intra-company rules. Click on update. We need to go with this no legal entity context. So when I say no legal entity, because 03 and 04 are the not legal entities under UST ledger. So this is the same screen to enter the intra-company journals rules, and intra-company rules are two scenarios as like one is between the company codes of a legal entity, and another scenario is between the company codes of the ledger. So now current scenario is between the company codes of a ledger which do not have any legal entity. So we need to go to this no legal entity context, click on define rules, create rule. If you remember for when you are creating an intercompany rules also, we have mentioned something called all other. We need to follow the same thing, all other. And then what is my debit intercompany receivable account, intercompany payables account. If you want, you can use the same intercompany payables account, intercompany receivable account, which we have used during intercompany accounting, or if you can use different accounts. Okay. Now, as far as this is concerned, we need to go to our BR100. Okay. So concentrate on the first one. So what I did is I completed this BR100 document even for other ledgers also, that is USD ledger and Canada ledger also, because we want those setups to be complete when we are doing a consolidation. So from a document perspective, I have completed the entire configuration for USD as well as the Canadian ledger. Even in the system also I completed that. Okay, because I cannot show the same thing for all the three ledgers in the class. So I had completed the entire configuration of the ledger for USD as well as the Canada ledger. Okay. Okay. So this is the debit account, which is the intercompany receivable account.
Arvind, quick question. Okay, once you finish, probably you can just highlight few points on that. Maybe it's a very silly question also. How do you know this debit refers to intercompany receivable and credit refers to intercompany payables?
Okay, so from an accounting perspective, okay, intercompany receivable shows the debit balance and intercompany payable shows the credit balance. Okay, always receivables shows debit balance and payable shows the credit balance. Okay, so
So whether
that's
it
how
is an intra or inter, both refers to the same.
exactly. So that is the reason why under debit we should enter the intercompany receivable account, and under credit we should pass the intercompany payable account.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and there is something called options. So here I'll explain you the significance of use many-to-many journals and then default rule. Okay, so I'll explain you the significance of the summary, net, and detail. Okay, in a while, let me complete this first. Okay, now I completed the intra-company balancing rules. Okay, now try to repost the journal. Okay, first requery this. Okay, if you observe, this was the error earlier, unable to, this is the error message, error 16, unable to balance intercompany accounts. Okay, now as we have completed the setup, now click on post and let's see what will happen. Okay, now we are reposting a journal which goes into an error, we can repost that, but a journal, if it is already posted, we cannot again repost the same entry. If it is an unposted status or if it is an error status, we can try reposting the same journal entry. Yeah, now it is posted successfully. Okay, and if you observe here the description, earlier it was saying intercompany balancing line added by posting program. Now here you can see intra-company balancing line added by the posting program. Okay, and as far as the logic is concerned, it's the same logic. For 03 there is a debit and there is a missing credit. So for 03 there is a missing credit. For 04 there is a credit, and system has created the for the 04 company code the missing debit, and the other sides, the intercompany segments are the other sides. Okay, and this intercompany payables and intercompany receivables are picked up from the, rather intercompany receivables and intercompany payables are picked up from the intracompany rules, whatever we have mentioned. And all other segments, that is the department, sub account, and the product, these are all just copied from the above lines, original lines. Okay, now this is a simple scenario wherein we have got only just one debit and one credit. Okay, let us assume if you pass a journal entry where there are say 3 debits for the 03 and say 3 credits for 04, and now then we'll try to post and we'll see whether system is going to create this intercompany balancing lines 3 times or it is going to sum up and show only once. Okay, try to create a new journal entry, test intra-company journal. $10,000, say 15,000, say 25,000. Say 10,000, 15,000, 25,000. Save this. Okay, now try to post this. It's posted completed normal. Okay, and now requery your journal. I think this is the one which we have passed. Okay, if you observe, if you remember in the intercompany setup, I have selected an option called summarize. Okay, as we have done a summarize for 03 there is a debit of 10,000, debit of 15,000, debit of 25,000. Total debit is 50,000. So it has created the corresponding credit of 03 of 50,000. If you have selected a detail mode there, then it would have again created 3 credit lines, 10,000, 15,000, 25,000. But we do not want to do that. We just want to summarize. Similarly, for 04, there is a credit of 10,000, 15,000, and 25,000. Okay. So as there is a debit missing, system has created the 04 with a debit of 50,000, and here you can see the description as intra-company balancing line added by the posting program. Okay, again same logic. The intercompany segment is populated based on the other side here. So that is like for 04, the other side is 03, so the intercompany segment is 03. Similarly for 03, the other side is 04, and that's the reason why your intercompany segment is populated with 04, and this intercompany receivables and intercompany payables are picked up from the your intra-company balancing rules. Okay. Okay. Yeah. We'll proceed further.